Howdy, howdy to everyone who is watching this post. Obviously, while I wait for people to join, just going to do the usual spiel. If any of you whatsoever are in need of my help in creating your perfect lives, by all means, check the links down below in the description. They'll take you to my website where you can see the services I offer. If you're interested in any personalized tarot readings, Katie's website's down there below, her Etsy. My Instagram and TikTok is down there where you'll find more content that I don't really post on here, such as like written explanations to things and the odd post. And Katie's Instagram and all that lot is down there below as well. Got loads of success stories coming out actually from clients at the moment. So I'm thinking I might actually just commit and do a full success story video. So if you're interested in that, let me know down below in the comment section. The Subliminal app, they're still working on the Android version for the promo code because obviously with Christmas and New Year and everything, not many places were doing stuff. But that's still on the go. If you're on Apple and want this like amazing Subliminal app and have 15% off from it, by all means check down below. That's where the promo code is at, I guess. I think I had more things to say, but I can't particularly remember. Apologies for the creaking upstairs. Katie's doing her usual walk around when I'm doing a live stream. But yeah, I think that's all that I've got for now. So I'm going to start getting into comments and stuff. Oh yeah, don't forget to like the live stream as well. That really helps us out. And I'm just going to, if you see me looking down at my phone while I'm answering stuff, it's because I'm trying to post that we're live now. So with all of that out of the way, now I'm going to start getting into the comments. H says, hey Matt, crash course in SP manifestation. Is that, are you saying like to make one, or what you went on a crash course? What's that saying? Because it's funny you should say crash course because I'm actually in the process of making an SP course. So I don't know if you're referencing a course or you're on a crash course. So if you could explain to me what you mean more specifically there, and I can obviously help work it out from there. John Strang says, howdy, Matt. Was waiting for you to come on live. Your live streams are one of the highlights of my week. Well, first off, thank you very much for that. It's very kind of you to say. And yeah, we did a poll, I think on like Tuesday or Wednesday about like what days people would prefer me, or sorry, what times people would prefer me to be live. And the majority went for 8 p.m. UK time. So I suppose just the normal time, but pushed back by half an hour because usually we come on at about sort of 7:30-ish. But no, I'm glad it's the highlight of your week. That obviously means a lot to me. And yeah, I'm glad that you are here with us today. JRC says, made it quickly today. Yes, I'm very glad to see that you're here this early, JRC. It's, thank you very much. It's very like hit or miss whether or not you can make it to live. So I'm glad to see you here today. Oh yeah, another thing that I was going to say as well is anyone that's part of the membership or is interested in signing up for the membership, there will be the first like official members only video going live this Sunday. It's going to be on the differences between discipline and motivation, and I kind of do speak about it a little bit sort of generally, but the majority of the video is talking in regards to manifestation. And I finally posted that link to my Instagram, so now I can actually look at the camera. But yeah, so if anyone's interested in that video, obviously join the membership. If not, it's up to you.
Hi.
But yeah, I'm glad to see you here, JRC. H says, hey Matt, how to stay in the wish fulfilled? Okay, so staying in the wish fulfilled is as simple as knowing what the wish fulfilled is. And I say this in a lot of my videos. How would you think, feel, and act if you were in your wish fulfilled? Because the way that someone thinks, let's use the example of a specific person. The way that someone thinks when they are like single is very, very different to the way that someone thinks when they're with someone. The way that someone feels and the way that someone acts is very, very different. Not necessarily worse, but just different. So the way to stay in the wish fulfilled is to understand what it is that you're aiming for. What would you feel, think, and act like if you had your specific person? That's staying in the wish fulfilled, because when you're consciously putting yourself in that state, you're staying in the wish fulfilled. It's like basically preparing yourself, even though, yes, it may not be out there, you're mentally, physically, and emotionally preparing yourself for what's to come, which is that of the relationship, and that'll impress your subconscious mind, and it will come in. So the way to stay in it is to just remind yourself what you've got to stay in, redirect your focus back to it, and continue to do that whenever you fall out. You don't have to be in it 100% of the time, but just try to redirect yourself whenever you fall out of it. It's only going to benefit you to do so. John Strang says, has Katie told you about what happened with my SP birthday wish thing? Did you tell me that?
I think I told you that it like went well and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we tend not to, any like conversations that we have with people, we tend not to really tell each other too much because obviously it's personal stuff. So I might say something like, oh, XYZ client's doing really well, but it's very rare that we'll actually discuss people's situations, because if you've gone to Katie to talk, then that's between you and Katie. So I do.
Yeah, we don't tend to like actually read out the conversations or anything like that to each other. And like, I never ever read any client emails or anything like that. So if you have like a success story from someone, he might say, oh, so-and-so's done really well, or like something like that. But nothing really like, oh, they were trying to get this and they got this and they got, like.
Yeah, it's all confidential, as anyone that's either received an email from me or a video call would know. But no, if you're interested in letting me know, either you can drop me a message or you can sort of say about it in the comments here. But I see that you've there's different comments. Yeah, so if you let me know what's going on, either in text or on here, it's absolutely fine. I'd love to hear it. But I heard it's going well. It's all gone well. So congrats for that. Connor Chadwick says, howdy, I'm glad to finally have time to make it. I'm glad to have you here. Hopefully you're doing well. Oh, it skipped. Jordan Strang says, I know you've been asked about this a lot, but opinions on subliminals. I'm starting to use them. I actually really like them. I mean, if you were to go back to like the beginning or one of the first few live streams of my channel, a lot of people asked me about subliminals, and I said, you know what, I haven't actually got much experience, let me try them out, let me get back to you, sort of thing. And I did end up, Katie and I both ended up trying some, really liked them, and sort of started to use them myself here and there. And again, continuous results while using them. And then obviously the reason why I preach this subliminal app is because a subliminal app like creator or developer, well, they're kind of in charge of the app, they come up with it and everything, sort of approached me and said, what's your opinion on them? And I said, I actually really like them. And then they allowed me to sort of have a bit of an experience of their subliminal app. And it was really good. Literally within days, the subliminals that I was using started to come in. And that's why I now preach it, because I actually work alongside them to help, promote it to you guys, and you guys get discounted, so on and so forth. But yes, I do very much like subliminals. I do very much believe that they work. And some of the ones on YouTube, I just be a bit careful with, because obviously you don't know anything about the people making them. They could just be doing it for a gag gift. They should not gag gift, but they could be doing it just for the fun of it. They could be doing it deliberately to be stupid. Who knows? So just make sure that if you are using subliminals and stuff, make sure that they're at least somewhat trustable. Just because you don't want someone to be giving you a subliminal that's supposed to be get my SP back, and it's actually just projecting the worst possible things that you could imagine. But no, I do like them.
I've also started using them as well, so all the time, and yeah, I think they're doing great. I think if anything, like if they don't have like power or whatever, if anything, they do genuinely put you in the best kind of mindset, which is obviously what you need to be in. And yeah, I think that's like whenever I listen to them, there's one that's like powerful. What is it? Powerful. What's the one like? Basically just like woman. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it always puts me in
like goddess something, isn't it?
Yeah, like powerful goddess. Like, it just makes me feel brilliant. Like, just like I have it on in the background and stuff. And it just makes me feel so good about myself. So yeah.
Yeah. Connor Chadwick says, I need some help. I got released from a job and they haven't given me my check, which I worked so much, and it's probably worth 1,000 or more, and my rent is due here soon. Do you add anything else, or is it just that? Okay, of course, it's just that. Okay, so the first thing obviously you're going to want to do is stop noticing or stop like dwelling on the fact that they haven't given it to you yet. There is no benefit of doing that to yourself, because the only thing that you're doing is sort of creating more of that by focusing on it. Obviously, I know that you put it here for the sake of help, but I would just mean if you are thinking about it outside of this live stream. So do your absolute best to let go of it and to focus on the either scenes or statements implying that it's already come in. How would you be thinking, feeling, and acting if it had come in? What would you start to prepare to do? What would you kind of get ready to buy, get ready to pay, get ready to do all of this kind of stuff, and just act as if it's already here. And doing that mixed with not dwelling on the fact that it isn't already here is going to make it happen. If any of you, I recently started reading it because I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it's a very good book so far. The Florence Scovel-Shin's book. The only reason I'm going to reference it here is because I read it literally earlier today, so it's on my mind. But even in that, which is, a topic that we've spoken about many times on here, it's nothing new. But she talks about when the people that went through the desert, I can't remember their names in the Bible, but the 3 people that went through the desert to go see Jesus, they were wanting water, and they were digging ditches for the water to land, and they were preparing despite the fact being in a desert. Same sort of thing here. You're going to want to prepare your mind for the expectation that it's already on its way. the more that you worry about not being able to pay your rent, the more you're not going to be able to do so. The more you get prepared to pay your rent and just know that it's going to happen, that obviously it's going to come in. So essentially it meant to prepare your mind and body for the for the experience of it coming in, was essentially the digging the ditches in the desert thing, which I thought was like a really interesting way to put it, which is why I brought it up here. Hopefully that helped. Shraddha says, haven't been able to catch you live, but I'm so glad I made it today. But as always, been watching all your weekly videos. Well, first off, thank you very much for watching all of the videos. It really helps out. We actually have one at the moment going, like, doing really well. It started off doing decently enough, and then over the past like day, it's just absolutely blown up. So that's really cool to see. But I'm glad you managed to make it to the live stream, and I'm glad you watch all my videos. I'm happy to have you here as a supporter. JRC says, so I met a new lady who is into LOA. I think I want to see where it goes. Absolutely. Like, you know, if you meet someone new, there's absolutely no reason why you should hold yourself to the old person. And you never know, by going with the new person, the old person might come in and you might not even want them then. But yeah, good luck to you. Keep me updated. Jordan Strang says, good on you, JRC. Sounds like a keeper already. Yeah, I like that comment. Nene, sorry if I said that wrong, says, I really need some advice on spiraling. Could you give me a few tips on how to stop? By the way, great work. Thank you for the kind words. So there's three. I actually do have a recent video called Stop the Spiral. So if you want to get more in depth on what I'm about to talk here, then I definitely recommend you go watch that video. But essentially, there are three good ways to stop yourself from spiraling. The first, and it may not necessarily be instant relief, but, you know, try and practice makes consistent, shall we say. Practice makes experienced. I don't want to say practice makes perfect, because perfect is unachievable, but practice makes experienced. The first one is meditation. When you can learn to calm your mind and to just let thoughts come up and as they go, because a spiral, even if it may be based on something that's happened, a spiral is just you dwelling on thoughts that come up. A spiral is just letting your mind take control as opposed to taking control of your mind. So when you practice regular meditation, you get used to the idea of letting thoughts come up and pass without giving them any power. You get used to letting thoughts come up and redirecting the focus back to your breath, for example, or wherever it is you're anchoring your meditation to, because some people use guided ones, some people just listen to music, some people just sit in silence. So the first one, which is really strong, is meditation. The second one is breath work, which is like meditation to an extent, but you don't have to necessarily get in that comfortable meditative state. And this is just focusing on your breath. In for 4, in for 3, hold for 3, out for 3. And you just keep doing that until you settle yourself again. That one you can do absolutely anywhere and at any time. And it's really good to anchor yourself to the present moment. Because if you're spiraling, it could be about the past. So if, depression, sadness, that kind of spiraling. If you're panicking and fearful and anxious, that will be about the future. So either way, a spiral is very rarely about this present moment. Whereas if you focus on each breath as they come and then let it go, you're anchoring yourself to the present moment. And therefore, thoughts of the past and future can't really exist. And if they do, just focus on their breath and bring yourself back to the present moment. And the third one is to just be aware of things going on, being aware of yourself, being aware of where your mind's going, being aware of what it's doing. It's very easy to let your mind go absolutely crazy, but you need to remember, and be aware of, if I continue doing this, this might be the outcome. And staying aware is a very good way to stop the spiral, because it's almost like a kick in the ass of, yes, I might be panicking now, but that's because I'm thinking about something that doesn't even exist yet. But if I carry on, I run the potential of it existing, and then so on and so forth. So there are 3 ways. Obviously, if you want more in depth on it, like I said, I do have a video very recently that's called Stop the Spiral, but hopefully that helped you out. Jade Lamb says, in yours and Katie's experience while manifesting STH, do you guys have up and down moments? If so, what do you guys do to motivate yourself? I don't know what STH is. I don't know if that's like a typo. Oh, something. I'm assuming that says something, manifesting something. Okay, yes. So of course, everyone has up and down moments. Well, in my opinion, I feel like anyone, even coaches on here, that tell you that they don't have a single moment where they're like not down, or they don't worry, or they don't think, oh shit, what if it doesn't come? In my personal opinion, I think that they're not being honest with you, because we're humans, and humans are literally built to consider the worst case possibility for survival reasons. I think I spoke about this either in one of my latest live streams or in the latest video. If someone was to knock on this door right now, chances are my brain would immediately think the worst. Even though I, at this current moment in my life, have no reason to think the worst, I would be like, well, why is someone calling at this time? Why is someone knocking at this time? What about this? What about that? And immediately I would start to think of the worst case scenario. This is because our brains think on survival. So the idea of only ever being in the clouds 100% of the time, in my opinion, is unrealistic and unachievable, because you can't necessarily do that all the time, because your brain will need to consider the worst case scenarios from here to here for survival reasons. Doesn't mean that you have to stay considering them. It just means that you might have moments where you catch yourself thinking, oh shit, what if this doesn't happen? Am I going to have the money for that bill? Am I going to have my person by New Year's? Am I going to this? Am I going to that? I definitely have them here and there. And the way that I stay motivated is to just remind myself that I have the control over my mind, not the other way around. So some things may take me longer to get out of that state than other things, but I just remember that it's all down to me. And while, yes, my brain is trying to protect me by thinking the worst of situations, I know that it's doing that because that's what it's built to do, not what it actually has to do, if that makes sense. So that's how I do it. On to you.
So how I motivate myself is kind of, I guess, unconventional in terms of like law of assumption. So I make my own little like things, if that makes sense. So like I said in the last live, I will assign something to something and be like, this is what is going to fix everything, kind of thing. So one of the things that I do is light candles. When I'm not feeling motivated at all, and when I'm like really struggling with like wanting to do stuff and all of that kind of thing, I will light some little candles. I will like take myself out for a minute, sort of like just empty my whole head entirely, light some candles, light some incense, do like a little task as well. So if I'm like feeling really like down about like something not coming in or like things not going fast enough, I will take myself out of that entirely and do the things that motivate me in day-to-day life, and then that then rolls on to motivate me in like my manifestations and stuff. So yeah, light candles, do a really small task, do some like bigging myself up, telling myself I'm the best person in the world and all of that kind of business, and then I will go back to it. So yeah, that's what I do when I guess like negative things pop up for me and I'm like, oh, it's just not going to happen or whatever. Yeah, take myself away from it, go back to it again.
Hopefully that helps. JRC says, thank you, Jordan. And then also says, join the membership, people. Small way we can help Matt. Well, I thank you very much for shouting out the membership. But yeah, so the membership has been something that I've been considering for a while. Obviously, it's been out for a while, but like what I'm going to do with it. So now the membership is going to be turning into having more things specifically for the members. Before it was the group, but now I've decided to make the group free for everyone. And now I'm going to be doing member-only videos and stuff like that. So if you're interested in joining the membership, by all means, there will be stuff specifically for you. But it's entirely up to you, really. But thank you very much, JRC. Emma says, I'm in a funk and feeling kind of depressed. Hard to have a good mental diet like this. What can I do to change this? Okay, so I think the first thing to do is to figure out why you're in that funk and in this sort of depressed state. Obviously, there will be some sort of cause to it, that you're giving too much of yourself away to the 3D. More than likely, obviously, I don't know exactly what you're experiencing in this moment, but more than likely, there's something going on in the 3D that you're not really too happy about, and you're allowing it to affect your inner self. So the first step, in my opinion, would be to find out what it is that's going on more deeply. So simply saying, I'm depressed because I don't see my friends on the weekend anymore. That obviously is a reason, but why is that making you depressed? And it could be, well, it makes me depressed because I used to find so much joy in being around people, but now I feel really lonely. And it's like, great, you feel lonely. That's the actual thing that's making you depressed, not the fact that you don't get to see your friends. So look deeper into it, and then you can start to work on providing yourself something that doesn't make you feel so lonely. So it could be that, yes, you may not be able to go out with your friends, but you could join a club of some sort. You could get a hobby that involves other people. You could go see your family more often, like stuff like that. Obviously, these are all relying on the external to help save you, but I think it's a good way. It's at least a good start to sort of have other things in place to help you feel that level of lack of loneliness, shall we say. And when you feel better, then you can work on the mental diet to be able to just providing yourself that internal feeling of not being lonely instead of relying on external. That could help. Obviously, like I said, I don't exactly know what your situation here is, so I can't give many specific examples, but hopefully that gives you an idea. KAB says, Wagwan, howdy, howdy. S. Reese says, what is the biggest thing you did in order to shift from the old reality to your new reality? That's a very interesting thing. When you say okay, you know what, I'm going to answer this in both ways. When you say in order to shift, that doesn't necessarily imply that it worked. So the biggest thing, or not necessarily the biggest thing, but the thing that I felt the stupidest doing was the 2 glass technique and the law of attraction. If any of you know that, that one made me feel so dumb. That was kind of the point where I felt like I just gave up with the law of attraction. It just felt like it was all just really goofy, corny things in order to, so basically where you get like water and then you speak your new reality to this water and then you like pour into another glass and drink that glass of water, and it's supposed to like, I mean, it's nothing, it's just a technique, I suppose, to an extent, but the way that I just felt really corny. So that one, I suppose, would be the biggest thing that I did that didn't work, because I didn't find the thing that I was trying to do it for back then worked. It actually did work a few months later, but I didn't want it anymore, so I wasn't fussed at that point. For anyone that's going to come at me going, oh, some manifestations don't always work, blah, 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 blah. But the biggest thing that I've done in order to shift from my old reality to my new reality and actually worked, I've not really done anything big. I find that the more extravagant and the more that you try to make that change, the harder it is to actually make the change. I find when you just relax and chill, just do a little script here and there, just do a little, for example, perfect example. I don't very often affirm or do any kind of technique for YouTube anymore. I used to before. Obviously, I've posted scripts and stuff where I've gone like, oh, I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers and stuff. I don't very often. But the other day, and I could go get it if I could be bothered to go upstairs, I literally wrote that my videos go viral in the most beneficial way possible. That was the first and only time I've written that in a very, very long time. And now this video has not obviously this one because it's a live stream, but my most recent long form video is doing like really well in comparison to some of my other videos, just because I just went, you know what, I kind of feel like this today, and I did it and it just worked. So I find I personally have a lot more success when I just relax and know that it's going to happen and just do it and kind of be like, yeah, that's all good, and then move on to the next. If I sit there like affirm for like 24 hours a day, I find I just don't get the results. I know it doesn't quite answer your question, but that's kind of where I'm at now. I don't really do anything big anymore to manifest stuff. Just a little affirm in here, a little bit of embodying the state here, a couple of scripts here, and that's about it. Do you got anything that you've done that's like big?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless you like count like witchcraft and stuff.
I think witchcraft could be considered big.
Yeah. So like spells and stuff.
We have a lot of comments already.
Yes, we do. There is lots.
H says, don't focus on the problem. Absolutely. That's always something like worth not doing. One thing. If the problem is a fear, face it. I find that when you face fear, you null everything. At like 90% of the time, when I've ever had something that's kind of like scared me, not in a sense of like, I'm worried about this happening, but I mean like a genuine fear. Like I'm scared to walk over that bridge. I'm scared to do this. I'm scared to, walk through the house in the night. I find that the more that I just do them, the less things like actually happen that are actually scary. So that's the only thing that I'd say that you can focus on the problem on, is because if you can overcome it.
Unless it's a fear of spiders.
No,
don't fuck with
eat them.
Don't even touch them.
But if it's like fear of like your specific person moving on, then yeah, obviously let that go. But if it's a fear of like roller coasters, I fucking still can't do roller coasters. I went on. Okay, sorry, a little bit of a story time. I know we're kind of getting really behind in the comments here, but we'll do. There's in like amusement parks, the little kids one where it's like in a plane and like you control whether it goes up or down, and it just spins around, goes really like slow. I was in it with my son when I went up with my up to my mum's a few months back, and we went to like the height, and he was like kind of a bit tense, which made me feel better because I was sat there like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. Link, can we just go down? Can we just go down? And it was just, yeah, I didn't like it. I couldn't even handle that. So roller coasters can get in the bin.
I quite like roller coasters, but his little sisters were like, "Come on, this one, it's so fun." It wasn't fun. Oh, it was literally just like this massive fucking swing thing that like basically flipped you, span you, and like made me. I was like pale.
Yeah.
I was turning green when I came off, and like I couldn't walk in a straight line. No, it was not fun. They lied to me. They really
My sisters are psychos.
Yeah. We had the best time. The person opposite me kept going, "I'm going to throw up, I'm going to throw up," and I was like, "They're fucking not throw
Rohan says, "Sir, I got movement again. SP called me and told me she's getting hurt as I was ignoring her. She told me she is also getting affected due to this no contact. We talked for almost 2.5 hours. Is there anything else for that? But she also told me probably we will not be together as we thought earlier, and she preferred to call me as her friend. Now, what should I do to counter this? Just continue living in the end. I mean, you started to get the movement as in her sort of showing you that things aren't going too well for her because of the lack of you being in her life and stuff. If your end result is to be in this relationship, I would say that you wouldn't be in the wrong if you were to say no to being friends, because that's beneath what you want, you know. So if you, that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do that, but I do think that there are instances where that would be beneficial for you depending on sort of where you are at mindset wise. But like you say, you're getting some movement, which is great, and don't let what's been said be any kind of blockage for you. Just continue going, continue persisting in your end result. You're clearly getting movements. There's no reason to stop now. There's no reason to let this be the end. She still has things for you. Otherwise, she wouldn't be saying this. It's affecting her not being able to talk to you and such. And yeah, you just got to keep going, and then you'll get that end result. Oh, we have uh Tinky McGuinness here. I like that name. Has donated $5 US. Thank you very much, Tinky McGuinness. That is very kind of you. You haven't put a message or anything, so I'm not 100% sure what to say. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for the donation. It's incredibly kind of you, and I like the little banner that comes with it. I don't know if the people viewing can see the banner as well, but
I think so.
it's a very nice banner. But thank you very much for the donation. It's very kind of you. We really appreciate that. And obviously, if you have a message, we will get around to it at some point during this. We rambled a lot on certain things, so now we're quite behind. Oh, I've just seen that you've messaged. Actually, I'll answer that. It's been 3 years since being apart from my SP. In the meantime, he's met someone, moved in with that person, had a baby with her. Should I give up? Thank you. Okay, so I will never really tell anyone whether they should or shouldn't give up, because I do operate under the assumption that absolutely nothing can stop you from getting your person other than obviously yourself. Um, if you feel like 3 years is long enough and you want to give up, that's absolutely fine. I'll stand by it. I wouldn't sort of be there like, why are you going to do that? You know, like if you want to give up, absolutely. If you don't want to give up, then I'll also support that too. Um, Time isn't an issue in terms of like, it's been 3 years, you must be doing something wrong. But obviously, if you do feel that is the case, I would recommend that you look into your process, you look into what you've been doing, you look into everything, and kind of have a kind of like an internal inventory to say, yes, I am doing this right, this right. Maybe I'm in the wrong state here too much. Maybe I spiral on this. Maybe I do this wrong. Maybe I XYZ, and have an internal inventory before you choose to persist or give up. But I'm not going to tell you that you should absolutely give up, because it's not my place to. It's your life. But yeah, you know, again, thank you for the donation, and I really hope that kind of gives you an idea. But you got this. Whatever it is that you choose to do, you're going to smash it. Oh, and you also say, I can't get him off my mind and I've tried. Okay, so a lot of the time when people are on your mind, this might not be absolutely true for you. So again, like, you know, take an internal inventory based on what I say. A lot of the time when you can't get someone off your mind, is because that there is an element of them that you are missing. So not necessarily the person, but something to do with them being with you. You're missing something that when they left, they took with them. So if there's any reason, or if there's any repeating things that come to mind when you think about them, try to see if you can identify them and then provide them to yourself as much as possible. Because a little analogy or a little example that I can give here is the idea of when you're hungry, all you want to, all you think about is food. It's like, what I'm going to have for dinner. I could have takeaway. I could do this. I could do that. Once you have food in front of you, you're obviously not really thinking about food. So what this says to me is that if you're thinking about him nonstop and can't get him off your mind, it's because he's got something that you are currently lacking. And 3 years on, and I mean this in the nicest way I can possibly say it, 3 years on, I doubt that him just as a person is enough to hold that like in your mind that much. It must be something that you currently lack that you had when you were with him. That's obviously just my observation. Take it with a grain of salt. But like I said, take that internal inventory and see what you can come up with. But again, thank you for the donation. That's very kind of you. Gleese says, hi, Matt and Katie. Howdy, howdy.
Hi.
And then they also said, I thought I was manifesting my ex very diligently for months, doing everything. Then he ignored my holiday wish after months of no contact. Never ignored me before, manifested the opposite. Please help. And then you say, continued, I got extremely upset and hopeless. Is it common for the opposite to happen after months of hard work? Okay, so this is one of those things that's very I'm not going to say situational because it's not based on the situation, it's based on the person. So I'm not saying this is you by any means. This is just something that I've observed quite a lot through my clients and stuff. Is people will say, I do a lot of hard work because I do, 40 minutes worth of affirming and 2 scripts a day and such. And I'm like, okay, cool. How do you feel the rest of the time? Oh, I'm really worried. I'm fighting with them in my head. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and a lot of problems. So I'm not going to say that you're not doing the work, absolutely, because I haven't been in your head, and I'd like to believe you have been. But consider maybe just possibly there's the element of the rest of the time you've been maybe in the wrong state, and that's been what's manifested the opposite. As for, let's assume that you have been absolutely perfect and there hasn't been any kind of contrary thoughts or anything, and that you've been 100% in the right state and everything. It could just be the old version playing out. Sometimes things do take a bit of a while. It's not obviously the most fun for us when we're in those experiences, but sometimes even if you're doing stuff really well, really like you say, diligently, doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to happen like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that 3 months, 6 months, 9 months is enough. Obviously, I know that in itself sucks to hear, but similar to the last person, I'd say take a little bit of an inventory on what you've been doing, because months of hard work, I believe it. Months of consistently in the dominant state, can we confirm that is basically what I'm trying to get out here? If yes, then I would say that this is probably just the old story still playing out, and that's that. Maybe the element of you reaching out over the holiday, maybe you did it from a state of, why haven't I heard from them yet? And therefore that played out. Like I said, take an internal inventory and see what you come up with.
I was just going to say something about the actual moment that you sent the message. So one thing that I was actually talking about the other day is the state that you're in that exact moment. So when I left the house to go and meet Matt, when the way that I was feeling was that absolutely nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go wrong. I was so taken aback by our conversation when we actually met, because he said something that I was just genuinely not expecting in any way, because I knew when I left that nothing at all, nothing could go wrong. I had not even thought about the possibility that anything could go wrong. So I think when you are sending out that message, if you're sat there worrying oh, they might not reply, or what if they don't answer me the way I want them to, or anything like that, I think it's best to just not, because there's even the smallest part of you is thinking this is not going to go to plan. I think when you are ready to actually reach out and everything like that, you need to be there is no possible way that anything will come back negative from this sort of thing. I think that's one of the things that people should consider, not necessarily just you, but people should consider when they're thinking about reaching out and stuff like that, is there any part of you that's considering the bad part? Because if it is, then you're not in the exact state that you think you're in.
Yeah.
Or there's a possibility that there's still a bit of doubt and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. H says, I don't agree with Andrew Tate on most things, but his arrest is not fair. His arrest was entirely made up. I don't care what anyone says, and I'll happily debate that in this comment section. His arrest was entirely made up. He made a video a couple of months ago, literally pointing out how this was going to go, and it's gone the exact same way. And it happens with everything. I mean, for example, Andrew Tate says one thing, and Andrew Tate is very, very clever in the way he operates. He operates by saying something that is based on truth and then completely elaborating it to an extent where it's so ridiculous that it gains the traction, and that's what keeps getting posted. That's why people keep posting these little clips that make some people hate him, some people love him, because he said something so extravagant or like completely too far, but it gets posted. It's the way that you get traction, because any publicity is publicity. He still makes money from it. So that's kind of why some people hate him, some people love him. But then there's people like Logan Paul who are just as evil, just as horrific individuals. But because they follow the script that's been given to them, nothing happens to them. I mean, Logan Paul's been cancelled once, everyone forgave him. The other day, he scammed a whole bunch of people forgive him. It's one of those things where it's if you say what the masses need to hear, you're absolutely fine. You can do whatever the fuck you want, and it's not going to matter. But if you start to go against them, that's when they try to shut you down. I think Logan Paul is much worse of an individual than Andrew Tate is, but he gets off scot-free every single time. But I'm not going to sit here and say that you have to agree with Andrew Tate, because obviously everyone has their own opinions. But I 100% agree with you that his arrest is not fair, and they're definitely trying to take him out because he's dangerous in a way to them more than to the people. But Top FJS says, got a success story. I grew taller. While I was watching your last live, my grandma told me I'm tall. A couple of days later, I measured myself and I'm like an inch taller. Well, congratulations. I might need to do that because I'm a little dumpling. So you might have to coach me, my guy. I need to get me a couple of inches taller. But now, congratulations. Glee said, oh, I already read that one. Alan said, my SP just conformed to one of the things I was affirming. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Hopefully one of the better things, and not like one of the, her favorite color is yellow and she's just been like, oh, it's yellow, and you're like, oh, but what about everything else? Monica Santos says, oh my fucking god, I'm so glad I found you here now. Just finished work. Well, we're glad to have you here, Monica, and hopefully work wasn't too bad. We read that Rohan one earlier. Lynn says, when did they start this live? Just now, wondering how much I missed. Okay, so at 20:08 was your message. So we started it.
I already replied to that just there. We've been live about 13 minutes, and now we've been live 36 minutes.
We're so far behind. Apologies. And then Monica Santos says, I missed you guys. We missed you too. We miss all of you. John M retracted his message. Lynn said, thanks, Kate. H says, yo, Katie, SP put me on a pedestal for 1.5 years of our relationship, changed their lifestyle for me until our miscarriage, been in no contact for 6 months. There is a third party. Do you think she can come back? Katie rules. Women's input is important.
That was somebody else.
Oh, it's just in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so I did say, like, yes, I do believe she can come back. Because I didn't want you to think that I was ignoring you. Because basically I just keep an eye on the chat over here every now and then to make sure that those weird spam things don't pop back up. But I just replied above, so I thought I'd put in a reply. But anyway, yes, I do believe that she can come back. And I don't know, I obviously don't know the whole situation and everything like that, but from like a non like law of assumption sort of view on how the way that she may be feeling right now, obviously I can't guarantee, something like that can entirely mess you up. Obviously you're experiencing it yourself as well, and it can be really, really damaging to the person that you were, and you can really sort of like spiral and become like just a completely different person. And I think she's probably in that stage of not knowing who the hell she is right now, and probably not able to cope with anything that reminds her of that kind of situation. So I think the third party is probably a distraction, so that she doesn't have to feel anything, basically. Any kind of reminder. I think that, yeah, you can definitely, I mean, you can get anything, you can create anything. And I don't think that you should let the third party be anything in your head. For all that it matters, they don't exist. So yeah, I do definitely think she can come back. I am very sorry for what you've been through and stuff. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, hopefully that does help. Jen Medak, says Katie rules with an emoji. She does indeed. Thank you very much for the kind words to Katie. Natty J says, hi, have had a rough few days. Oh no, what's wrong? And then Katie responded to people. And then Feliciana, apologies if I said that wrong, said, join the membership. Happy to help you guys. Thanks for everything you do for our community. Well, thank you very much for that. It's very kind of you to support the channel through the membership. And I'm really glad that, you know, people appreciate what we do for everyone. So that's really, thank you very much for that. Marianne says, was it hard for you at first to manifest an ex back? It depends how you define hard. Like, if you define hard as in, like, it was hard to stay consistent with the process, not really. If you've defined hard as in, like, in two minds about what I should do, whether I should just stop or continue, then yes, there was that element of, like, what if it takes X amount of time and she does this and I do that and yada yada yada. And there was those kind of elements that I kind of had to consider and that I did find a little bit like tricky, but the actual process of manifesting I don't find particularly hard. Despite my flaws and despite sort of periods in my life where I have gone through quite bad mental positions, I found it very easy to dedicate myself to something. Once I decide that something's happening, there's very few things that can stop me from getting it done. So the actual process of manifestation is quite easy for me, but the emotional and sort of internal pull, or not pull, the internal turmoil, I suppose, was quite hard for me trying to manifest, yes. Or manifest an X back, yes. John M says, how can you increase your intuition? Honestly, just trust it and commit to it. Whenever you feel like you're having an intuitive thought or feeling or action or anything, go with it. Doesn't matter the consequences, doesn't matter the potential consequences. Trust it. Absolutely, just throw yourself at it. And that's how you can develop it, because intuition it's like a gut feeling, isn't it? And you can't really like necessarily train a gut feeling because it'll be situation based. So the best thing that you can do is to just trust it. Go on.
I was just going to say, I believe you can train it.
How did you say? How do you reckon?
With little exercises.
Like what?
So for example, like I can't think of any examples, but I have like a whole book with all these little cards, and they have these little exercises on that you do for your intuition, and yeah, I believe you can train it. Like if you find little scenarios that you can practice on.
My perspective of a higher intuition is it's your higher self, and I feel like it's your higher self leading you to the best place for you to be. If you can train it, and if there's books out there, then maybe go look for them. It was my opinion that you can't necessarily train it because it would be situation based, but apparently Katie has a exercise thing for it.
I was just going to say, I don't think it's necessarily training it, it's more making you recognize it, if that makes sense. So it's already there, but a lot of people don't recognize their own intuition. They don't sort of like trust their gut feelings and stuff. And a lot of people with like anxiety and things, they don't like get really into it because they are scared of all the possible outcomes and stuff. So it's not necessarily that you are building it, it's more that you are training like your conscious brain to recognize it more, I think.
That makes sense. To be fair, I think a lot of people probably have the same problem that I do when it comes. Well, I don't anymore, but I used to have this quite a lot, where I'd have an intuitive thought or like a gut feeling, and I know that I should take it, but by following it, it would mean that I'd lose something. And it's like I would prefer to keep that thing. And I feel like if I had taken it, then maybe my life would be 10 times better than it is, sort of thing. But who knows, because I chose not to. But there's definitely been times when I've had a gut feeling and I've chose not to go for it because I'm like, oh, but the short-term sacrifice of this potentially long-term gain, and I haven't taken it. But now I just take gut feelings whenever they come. A lot of the time, if I feel it, I'm like, that's it, it's done. I don't care what it is, I don't care about the outcome, I'm taking it. But so I don't feel there's any way to increase your actual intuition itself. I do agree with Katie that there is ways to be more aware of it, exercises and stuff. And for that, it would basically just be trying to stay aware. Like I mentioned earlier, being aware of your thoughts and feelings and kind of what's going on. And if you feel severely pulled to something, just follow it. And then you'll find that you'll become more trained to follow those pulls than you were at the beginning. Christy says, hey, Matt and Katie, howdy, howdy. Shraddha says, how to act in a way the image you have of your higher self, more confidence, more wealth, good health and relationship, even though the 3D isn't really there yet. It feels like lying if you force it. Well, an element of it is being deluded to yourself. Obviously, you want to experience what that version of you would experience. So therefore, you have to take that version of yourself on right now. You can't really expect the results to follow before you do. That's like, what's that like? Let me give you an example. That's like expecting the light to turn on before you flick the switch. It just isn't going to happen. So it may feel like you're lying to your set face, and I think that might be because you're like maybe thinking too much into it. You're kind of looking at it like, I am not this, but I'm going to claim that I am, and therefore that's probably why you're feeling those feelings. But you can't receive before you first become. you know. And so there is an element of being delusional. There is an element of not forcing, I wouldn't say to try and force it. There is an element of lying to yourself to an extent. But if you know what your higher self is, the more confidence, the more wealth, the good health and relationship, how do you think, feel, and act if you were living all of that right now and then start to become it? And that's the same as flicking the light switch. Then it can actually happen in the 3D. Because remember, the 3D doesn't proceed, it follows. So you kind of just have to sort of, it feels like lying because your ego is getting in the way a bit too much. So you just got to kind of let that go, let it be, just be like, it is what it is. You can feel like that, but this is what we're doing. And then persist in that way. Justinia says, hey, howdy, howdy. KAB says, hey, my ex keeps following me on stuff and I'm trying to get away because it was toxic. She keeps trying to follow me and I don't know how to not make it affect me because is making my manifesting my SP really. Should I work on self-concept? Sorry if I don't make sense. Sorry, I keep commenting a lot and asking questions. You can ask as many questions as you want by all means. It's absolutely fine. Can you not just block them? I know it's obviously a bit of a 3D thing, but could you not just block them? Another thing as well that you can try to do, it's not something that I personally do that much myself, and I'm not going to lie, it's because I let my own ego get in the way. But I find for things that you want rid of, the best thing to do is to forgive them for for what they've done to you, or send them that kind of element of thanks for showing me what I need to change, and allow them forgiveness. And then never do your best to never think of them again. They pop up on your social media because they followed you again, block them, move on. Just don't dwell on it too much. Forgive them for anything that they may have done and just keep rinsing and repeating until they just no longer show up in your awareness anymore. And then you can kind of just move on from there. That's like the best way to handle trying to remove something, because unlike creating something, you obviously don't want to. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Unlike creating something where you want to think about it all the time, if your creation is to think about it all the time, the removal or destruction or whatever you want to refer to it as would have to be the opposite of never thinking about it. So do your best to send it on its way in like a beneficial way for yourself, and then never think about them again. And just block them whenever they come up. JRC says maybe some member only lives. See, I have thought about doing that, but we only have like I don't know how many members, but not like a lot. And the only reason why I'm saying like that is because at the moment we have 27 people in this live stream. And like, yes, obviously we are a little bit delayed in terms of when we're getting back, but getting to the comments, but we do manage to get through all of them before we end up heading off. When it gets to a point where we've got like 70, 80, 90 people in a live stream, I definitely will be doing member only lives, because by that point we won't even be able to finish all of the comments, because obviously the time will just go on forever. We'd never get through them. So I definitely will then, but I think at the moment it wouldn't really benefit anyone. So if the members like sort of hit me up and say, no, actually the member only live would be really helpful, then I'll start to do it. But so far no one has, other than obviously yourself in this comment, JRC, no one has actually said that they want members only live. But I've definitely got it in the considerations.
Sorry, really quickly, I just wanted to show you my cards because they're really pretty. But these are like the intuition cards that I was talking about. And they just have like little different things to do on it. So one of them is like play a guessing game every time you get a call or a text and see whether you work out what it is and stuff. So it just like trains you along the way kind of thing, just to pick up on it. But yeah, I just wanted to show because they're like really pretty.
Jordan Strang says, I've just noticed the new thumbnail. That's really cute. Yeah, Katie made it about 10 minutes before we started the live while I was putting up a shelf. So our lives are very chaotic.
Yeah. Today we painted a bedroom with no like pre-planning. I was like, we're painting the bedroom right now. And
well,
we just had to go along with it.
The way that it happened, she was like, so what are we doing now then? And I was like, okay, I've got this plan. Here's what we're going to do. Then we're going to do this. Then we're going to do this. Then we're going to do this. And she just went, we're going to paint. And then all of that went out the fucking window. And she just started painting. And I just had to kind of go along with it.
The shelves arrived, the bookshelves. And you don't want to put a bookshelf up without painting the wall behind it, because then you have to take the bookshelf off to paint the wall behind it. So I was like, I know, I just paint where the shelves are going. And then it ended up going all the way across. And then now we've got like halfway down the wall a split where I didn't get to, but it's all right because we'll get to that next time.
So yeah, don't ever manifest Katie. It'll be in your worst interests.
I have manic days and then...
Yeah, it's like a cat on Zoomies. Marianne says, does scripting work for you the most? I do find a lot of success with scripting, but because I don't actually utilize it as much as I do anything else, it's kind of hard to judge. I think I think scripting for me personally probably works the best, but I don't enjoy it as much. Therefore, I don't use it because I don't really want to start like forcing myself to script all the time. I do a daily gratitude journal, but other than that, I don't want to force myself to script all the time because I'm just going to constantly be like doing something that I don't want to do. And that kind of goes against the idea of living a natural life. You obviously don't want to be in a situation where you have to force yourself to do things that you don't want that make you like bored or whatever, unless you absolutely have to. So yeah, I would say it's quite successful for me, but I just don't use it that much because I don't enjoy it that much. John Strang said that's what the stream is for. Oh yeah, the answering questions. Yes, it is indeed. Lynn says, am I being too excessive with revision? I'm writing up 4 lists, beliefs about SP, beliefs about myself, beliefs about men and love, and wrote the opposite of each belief to make them an affirmation. Is this okay? I also feel like I am uncovering many other lists that I should revise my old story for too, like beliefs about marriage and relationships too. Thank you for the kind. Oh, that's someone else. Okay, so I personally don't think that that's too much at all. I think that it's one of those things that if you can deal with it the way that you're dealing with it and dealing with it effectively, you'll probably never have to do it again, or very unlikely to have to do it again. And if you do have to do it again, you're probably going to have a lot less to do. So I think it's perfectly fine. I don't think you can be too excessive with revision unless you're in a situation where you're like trying to force it to happen. That's the only way that I can sort of see you being too excessive. But I honestly think what you're doing there is not actually that. I think it's quite good, in all honesty. I think working on you're tackling it from all areas, which means once you're kind of done revising it, let's assume that you could just be done revising it. You're going to be in a situation where you've changed, he's changed, men changed, and love changed, and that's going to be a very good place for yourself to be in. So I think you're doing great. Glee says to Lynn, I feel inspired to tell you that I'm sure you'll get your SP and you've got this. Your wishes will come true. I mean, if you're going to work on all of those core beliefs all at like the same time, then I don't doubt that you will. Oh, it skipped. I didn't even notice it skipped. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is? Oh, here. And then Lynn said to Gleese, thank you for the kind wish, Gleese. I really appreciate that. Very kind. We answered Tinky McGuinness's thingy earlier. JRC says, you guys should also do a cash app so YouTube doesn't take the money donated. We actually do have a... Oh, you do say it. Wait, you already do, don't you? Damn it. Yeah, we do actually have it. The only thing is, unless I'm being completely stupid, because I actually don't really know much about YouTube live streams. I haven't really looked into it. There's not really a way that I can put it anywhere other than like in the live stream, like chat. But then obviously people might miss it because no one's going to like scroll all the way through the live stream just to see if there's like a cash app thing. And so it's it's one of those things where it's a bit of a pain in the ass because yeah, obviously YouTube do take a percentage, which is not fair on really anyone. Well, to an extent they do pay me, I guess, but they take a percentage of the money donated, which sucks for the person donating, and then obviously we've been donated to and they take it, so it sucks for us to an extent. But it's only 30%. So it is what it is. But yeah, there's no real way, as far as I'm aware, to put the Cash App on here without posting it, but then people won't see it. So it's not a problem at all, though. Oh, we already did that one. Jade Lamb says, small success story. Have been affirming everyone respects me. Take action to talk to my professor about her method of doing quizzes. Continuation, she respects my opinion and says she would look into it, and now she changed her method of doing quizzes. That's really good. I mean, it's one of those success stories that kind of probably makes you feel quite warm inside. It's like a little one that's like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So congratulations, I'm happy for you. Marianne says, my SP and I have been with for 9 years. We had a baby and this moved on the day after we broke up. Do you think there is a chance for us? Personally, I have a strong feeling we are soulmates and this feeling is very strong. Yeah, I do 100% believe that there's still a chance for you. I'll never tell anyone that there isn't one because I don't believe that everyone is just game over for getting their person back. But I do believe you can. Absolutely. And the fact that you have a strong feeling about it, it kind of helps as well. Tinky McGuinness says, makes sense. Thank you. You're very welcome. Jordan Strang says, a few techniques that I've been using are down wrong button. Ignore that. Okay. I see you messaged a little bit further down about it. Okay. I'll get there in a second. Rohan says, thank you, sir. You're very welcome. Glee says, thank you, guys. Makes sense. Yes, I was a bit needy when reaching out during the holiday because I was like, why haven't I still heard from him? But he never ignored me ever. Well, it's one of those things where you've got sort of seeds that play out, shall we say? Should we use the Neville Goddard terminology in this instance? So the manifestation that you're doing overall the one that you said like is great, could be planting a seed of everything going great. And then that kind of act of panicking while you were reaching out or saying, why haven't I heard from him yet, or anything like that, could have been its own separate seed that played out in that relation. Because there's times when, for example, like Katie and I, like there'll be times when we'd like have issues, for example, due to thought processes that have come up and everything. But that doesn't mean that, it's the end for us, for example. So it worked the same way for you, where you could be doing amazing and then just have one negative situation that comes up due to your thought processes. So yeah, I think the fact that you can identify that you weren't in the right headspace when doing it probably shows us that the work that you're doing is fine if you are as diligent as you say you are, and that it was just like a bit of a blip, shall we say. Top FJS says, can daydreaming ruin your manifestation? Your mind likes to daydream, ruminate about the things you desire, and if you desire something, it means you don't have it, right? I think it's like wishing state. I suppose, because if it depends. Are you thinking about it from the perspective of like, I don't have this, or are you kind of in that scene as if you do have it currently? Because I mean, if you're having thoughts about, if I was sitting here daydreaming about driving my like favorite car, yeah, I mean, you could sort of argue that I'd be in a wishing state. But we got the porn people.
Yeah.
Ugh, they always show up somehow. You could argue that it's in like a wishing state, but if I'm sat in that car driving it, then it's not going to ruin any kind of manifestation. Even though I may be in a state of like wishing for it, I'm still thinking the right thing about actually being in that car and such. So I wouldn't say it could ruin it, in my personal opinion. Jade Lamb says, I haven't heard people say what you shall ask shall be given. If I give up my manifestation, will it come true? Just curious though. Oh, I have heard people say what you ask shall be given. If I give up on my manifestation, will it come to me? Just curious though. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of people that have said, even in my own success stories that I've posted, they said that when I sort of stepped back, that's when it came. When I gave up, that's when it came. A lot of the time, the reason why it does come is because you're no longer attached to it. You're no longer like in need of this thing, and then that allows everything to flow much easier, and all of the work that you sort of put in before is allowing to come in because you're no longer like holding it back. It's like I mean, I talk about it in a lot of videos. People are probably getting sick about it, but the magnet example of the once you're like one of you has to be a chaser, the other one has to be a chase. So once you decide that you're no longer going to chase anymore and you walk away, the other thing has to chase you. It's literally the law of magnetism and such. So I mean, it's the push-pull effect. So I don't think that if you were to give up, you're guaranteed not to get it because you've given up, because a lot of people do tend to get it when they give up. And a lot of the times people get it and then go, oh, actually, I don't want it anymore, because they've released that attachment, and therefore they realize that the grass is actually greener on the other side in a lot of cases. So I think that if you wanted to give up, you're probably still going to get the result anyway, depending on the work that you've been doing leading up to it. Obviously, if you've just been in the worst state ever, like the whole time leading up to it, and then you give up because you can't hack it, then you're probably not going to have the best experience with it. But again, all up to, well, I say again, I didn't say it in the first place, but it's all up to you. It's up to how you're doing, where you kind of see yourself at. Jordan Strang says, a few of the techniques that I've been using are falling asleep to SP subliminal, visualizing nightly, and trying my best to stay on the best mental diet I can, bearing in mind the 52-48%. And then you say staying in the state thing. Okay. I mean, if they work for you, then absolutely. I mean, everyone has their different things. Sometimes I'll have clients that say like, oh, my favorite thing is to do like XYZ. And I'm like, that's really uncommon. Like a lot of people will say that their favorite stuff is like affirmations or scripting. And then there's this person, but like, I like spinning in a circle for an hour. And I'm like, wow, never really heard that one before. That's not a technique. Don't go doing that.
And if you want it to be, you can make it your own technique.
I suppose you could.
You can make anything your technique.
Every spin that you do, you get sick though. I feel like you get so dizzy.
I just assign things to little things and then.
Okay, so we're coming up to the hour mark. So if we could leave any comments for now, just so that I can catch up and then obviously head off the stream. If I ask you to put a comment, then obviously you can, because I've asked you to do so. But just for now, if we could hold the comments while I catch up. JLC says 30 watching, please hit the like button. Yes, if you could hit the like button, it helps push it out, which gets like more viewers and such, which is really helpful for the channel's growth. Marianne says he is fully convinced it is over thought, but the fact I strongly believe we are soulmates is making me think different. Lol. Well, Yeah, I mean, it'll all be a situation where it's the past playing out. It'll be old thoughts, old assumptions, and everything playing out. Once you switch those and start thinking of what you want as if you are already living it right now, things will start to change in accordance. And it starts with that strong feeling, which is a good place to start. Make sure your thoughts are following it as well. Not stop talking about it, because obviously I know you're here to sort of talk and get advice and such. But if you can, stop thinking and speaking and acting as if he is broken up with you and he's saying all the things, and think about it as if he's with you right now. Tiggy McGuinness says, I agree, Andrew Tate thing is all staged. Absolutely. Phil says, bass top G. Lynn says, also, Glees, I forgot to say this above, but all your wishes will come true as well, manifesting for it. That's very nice. I'm glad to see people looking out for each other. And then Lynn also says, yep, Katie already replied. All good. And then put smiley. Oh, it skipped. Put smiley faces and such. Emma says, how to increase belief in LOA. Okay, so one way that you can do it is to look back at your life. Significant things that have happened to you. Can you identify the sort of ways that you were operating at the time, your thoughts and feelings and everything that was going on at the time? If you can, then there's one way to show that your thoughts were directly correlating with what you experienced. Another way to increase belief in LOA is to create like a list of a few small things that are significant enough for you to notice that they are conscious creations, but not so significant that they make you kind of in need for them to happen, and work on manifesting them in by using any scene or statement that you enjoy, and just prove to yourself that it works by, ticking them off one by one. I saw a yellow card, tick off. I received a free coffee, tick off. An old friend reached out, tick off. Someone that doesn't compliment me often complimented me, tick off. And then you can start to see that the list will start ticking off more and more, and you'll start to see that it gets to a point where you can no longer disregard it. You can no longer say might not work, when you've got all of these uncommon things that all of a sudden you put your attention to, and then they've worked and now they're here. So that's a very good way to have belief in LOA. And yeah, hopefully that helped. H says, Katie, you have been an immense help. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, brother. See you in session soon. Absolutely. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do for us. AM says, is it possible to manifest health? My mum is really sick right now. I really want to help her. It is absolutely possible. You just want to try and stop seeing her as sick and seeing her as sort of strong and healthy as you want her to be. KAB says, yo, Katie, you're a G, and thanks for helping me. And thanks, you, Matt, for helping me too. I'm sorry if I spell your names wrong.
No, that was right.
It's absolutely fine, and you're very welcome. That's what we're here for. KB says, when I said following, I mean on TikTok and that. Oh, okay. Well, you can still block them on TikTok. It's actually quite funny that you should say that, because I have a very similar situation, the same issue very recently, with someone that keeps finding me on social medias that I really don't want to find me, and me having to go block. But yeah, you can just keep blocking them and then take your attention off of them. Maureen says, I'm thinking even if I'm in no longer consideration for the place, but I keep imagining myself getting employee of the month from there, implying I have been working there. So just keep going, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much a perfect scene. You can't get employee of the month if you aren't working there. So absolutely. I like that scene. And yeah, just keep persisting in it. Ashley Lewis says, what is the best way to script? It all depends on you, really. Some people really love going like detailed. Like today I woke up and SP was laid next to me and we rolled over and had like a hug and such. Some people prefer it, like me, to just say, I'm grateful to have received 10 new followers or something like that. And yeah, other people even do less than that. Sometimes they just go, I received a free coffee. I received this. I received that. And that's literally all they do. So it's entirely up to you of what helps you feel into the scene or statement that you're writing in that time. So test them all out and see what works best for you.
I personally prefer the stories, like writing out little stories.
I prefer the middle one, that I'm grateful for receiving XYZ. It just saves time.
Some people just literally script that they get whatever they want.
Yeah.
Over and over again. That's the only script they ever write, because then it's just the thoughts that they use to bring it in. So anything I think of, I bring in.
Yeah.
And that's all that they will script.
Yeah. Sarah says, my SP and I were in constant communication, and I looked bad reading them, realizing I didn't come off interested. Then he stopped responding, and a year later, he is engaged to 3P. Can I change this with no contact? Yes, absolutely. Again, it would be the same process really as everybody else that I've spoken about today, where you let go of the things that you don't want. You let go of the no contact, what happened back then, everything that kind of is getting to you now, and you focus on the end result of you being with him right now, using scenes and statements or whatever technique you like to use. But essentially, the fact that he's with 3P, the fact that you're in no contact, all of that means absolutely nothing. Nothing is an actual barrier unless you allow it to be one for yourself. Focus on what you do want and not on what you don't. KAB said, yo, this live made everything click for me. I'm sorry. No, it's absolutely fine. I mean, that's what we're here to do. So I'm really glad. And you can ask as many questions as you want. It's perfectly fine. We only tell to stop asking when we're trying to like head off. Because as usual, we still haven't eaten yet. Lynn says, thank you so much for answering my question on excessive revision, Matt. I really appreciate it. You're very welcome. And then you also say, you are right. I will continue to work on revising my negative core beliefs. You and Katie have warm personalities. Keep being awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for the kind words, and we will definitely continue to do our best. You okay?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we're actually nearly out of comments now.
Kiati says, Matt, should we visualize as first person or third person? I personally do first whenever I do visualize. Katie does third, and we've both had success. So do what's best for you. Do what
Try them both out.
Yeah, do what is more comfortable for you to do and what you feel into the state more with.
The main reason that I do it in third person is because I'm working on appearance goals as well. So I like to kill two birds with one stone, hit it like with my new like body, new hair, whatever it is that I'm working on. And the other thing that I'm working on, I just get to do it all in one go because my brain is sort of like all over the place. So I like to compact it all into one and do it in one hit so that I don't have to remember to do something else for something else. That's why I do third person.
You go. Delta Girl says, hey Matt, howdy howdy, glad to have you here. JRC says, have Katie put in every once in a while the Cash App. That's actually not a bad idea. Might consider that for the next stream. JB says, hey Matt and Katie, Jasmine here. Since coaching, I met an amazing guy who's exactly like my SP but more compatible, lol, and over Xmas me and my SP reconciled as friends. Well, congratulations. I mean, that's definitely a big step in the right direction for both instances, so congrats to you.
Okay.
Rachel Pedder says, can you manifest an SP back with changed behavior? I've already manifested him back before, but he won't apologize for how he treated me, so I turned him down. I just wish he'd just say sorry. I mean, you absolutely can. Are you focusing on him saying sorry, or are you focusing on the fact that he hasn't said sorry and like letting it dwell in your head that he still hasn't done it? Like, oh, he's come in, but he's still the same guy that won't apologize. Because if that's the case, then obviously that's why he's not apologizing, because you're holding him in that certain regard. And what you want to do is change the way that you're perceiving him to say, he's apologized. You have to accept the apology before it comes in order for it to come. Did you have something you wanted to say?
I was just going to say, like, you need to sort of like envision him as somebody who's grown up and like really realized when they make mistakes and stuff like that, rather than the apology itself. I think that focusing on the actual word sorry is going to be a harder time than like just describing him as someone who realizes when they make a mistake, realize that they've like fucked up and they own it when they do and stuff like that, rather than focusing on hearing him say I'm sorry, because some people don't actually ever say like I'm sorry as such, like in those two specific words, if you know what I mean. Like it could come across as like, do you know what? I've genuinely realized just how awful I treated you. I really can't believe that I was ever like that. And I just really want you to know that I have grown so much. Do you know what I mean? It could come across in any other way, or I apologize so much. Like if you're focusing on the very specific, I'm sorry, it's going to be harder to get the, you know, I think focus more on him being the person who does own up to his mistakes, who does apologize for things, who does like realize that he was an absolute dickhead or whatever, and then like, you know, focus on him being that person rather than him coming and apologizing. Because then the other thing that might happen is him come in and be like, I've realized, but all you need to hear is I'm sorry, and then I'm going to go back to being a dickhead, you know. So you want to change him, like the way that he views you. He is like absolutely distraught that he ever treated you in such a horrible way. He's like upset that he could ever be that kind of person, you know. That's what you're aiming for, because you don't want him to just be like, yeah, I'm sorry, and then just back to his old self. But at the same time, you don't want to focus on just getting the I'm sorry, because it might not come out that way anyway.
Yeah,
bit of a random tangent there.
That was very long. Glee says, thank you at Lynn, I'm manifesting for you too. Very nice. Vinicius says, if someone is manifesting clear skin, is it better to say I have clear skin and forget about it? I mean, it's better to just assume you have clear skin, and anytime you see yourself, to assume the more that you have clear skin. But you can't say I have clear skin, then just forget about your skin overall until the next time you think about it. There's no point really constantly dwelling on it if you don't need to. KAB says, I need to stop saying sorry. Yes, you do. It's perfectly fine. Things are okay.
Everything's cool.
Yeah. And Nan says, hello, Matt and Katie. Hopped in to say, really liked your new thumbnail. Well, thank you very much. Katie made it 10 minutes ago. Well, 10 minutes before the live stream started.
It was really cool. I'm not going to lie.
It was.
Yeah.
Theory says, without believing or feeling and just affirming is enough to manifest. I sometimes couldn't feel it real. I mean, it is, but it's definitely, in my opinion, not something you just want to just go with forever. Just not feeling it and just robotically saying it does work, but I do feel it could work better if you can feel it real. But if you physically can't, then don't worry. You're still thinking from the end result, so it's still absolutely fine. H says, literally, Katie and Matt, you guys helped me here. I was horrible. Boyfriend, post miscarriage, couldn't support her. I've worked on my SC now for my own masculinity. Thanks a lot. I'm ready for her. You absolutely are, and I look forward to the success stories because you deserve it. Marianne says, thank you both for your help. When will you be next going live? So usually we do them every Saturday. If we can't do it Saturday, we try to do it Sunday. If we can't do it Sunday, then it's usually Tuesday. But 90% of the time it's a Saturday. And if it's not, I'll let you guys know in the community tab. But it's usually about 7:30 on a UK time on a Saturday. Glee says, thank you both for your work, guys. I needed this bad today. Well, you are very welcome. And that was the final comment. So what a really nice way to end it off. Obviously, I'm sorry that you needed it bad today, but I'm glad that we at least helped you out. So yeah, thank you everyone for showing up today. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Is it Tinky McGuinness or is it Twinkie? I think it was Tinky, wasn't it? Yeah, thank you very much, Tinky McGuinness, for your donation. It's very kind of you again. And we will catch you all in the next live stream. Don't forget to go and like and comment on all of my videos and help blow up the channel. All of them. And we will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.